भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागं सस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, Thou abidest in all, Thou art all, Thou assumest all forms. Thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all. Thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto Thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. There will be opening song pertaining to the theme of today's talk. I request Arunim to sing that song.
अधरं मधुरं वदनं मधुरं नयनं मधुरं हसितं मधुरं हृदयं मधुरं गमनं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं 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 अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं वचनं मधुरं चरितं मधुरं वसनं मधुरं वलितं मधुरं चलितं मधुरं भ्रमितं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं 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 अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं वेणुर्मधुरो रेणुर्मधुरो पानीर्मधुरो पादौ मधुरो वेणुर्मधुरो रेणुर्मधुरो पानीर्मधुरः पादौ मधुरौ नृत्यं मधुरं सख्यं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुरं मधुरम् अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् गीतं मधुरं पीतं मधुरं भुक्तं मधुरं सुप्तं मधुरं रूपं मधुरं तिलकं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं कर्णं मधुरं तरणं मधुरं हरणं मधुरं स्मरणं मधुरं वमितं मधुरं शमितं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं मधुरं मधुरम् अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं गुञ्जा मधुरा माला मधुरा जमुना मधुरा वीची मधुरा सलिलं मधुरं कमलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं मधुरं मधुरम् अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं गोपी मधुरा लीला मधुरा युक्तं मधुरं भुक्तं मधुरं दृष्टं मधुरं शिष्टं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं मधुरं मधुरम् अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं गोपा मधुरा गावो मधुरा यष्टिर्मधुरा सृष्टिर्मधुरा दलितं मधुरं फलितं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं मधुरं मधुरम् अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरं मधुरं मधुरम् अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते रखिलं मधुरम्.
Thank you, Arunim. मधुवातारितायते मधुक्षरन्ति सिन्धवः माध्वीर्नः सन्तोषधीः मधुनक्तमुतोषसि मधुमत् पार्थिवगं रजः मधुद्यौरस्तु नः पिता मधुमान्नो वनस्पतिर्मधुमागम् अस्तु सूर्यः माध्वीर्गावो भवन्तु नः. Om. May the winds bring happiness. May the rivers carry happiness to us. May the herbs give us happiness. May the night and day yield us happiness. May the dust of the earth bring us happiness. May the heavens give us happiness. May the trees give us happiness. May the sun pour down happiness. May the cows yield us happiness. Om, peace, peace, peace. As we know, we always look for happiness in life. All our searches can be consolidated as looking for happiness. And we just heard this nice song which describes that everything about this God is full of sweetness, and that is translates into actually happiness. That we look for it, but where to find it? That is the question. The idea of God as presented in many religions is God is the source of all happiness, sweetness in life. That we look for, we can find that only in God. And when we look for it at other places, we get frustrated, we become, sad because we don't find the happiness that we are looking for. The sadness is the result of getting entangled in this world, and because this world is a, a trap. Like a trap, there is something attractive for, say, mouse put in that trap, and then the mouse gets attracted and gets just trapped. There is so this world for human beings works as a trap because it gives the enticements. They show that you will get happiness if you do this, but soon enough it gets discovered that no, there is actually no happiness in those things, but we still do not realize that there is no happiness in anything of that type. We feel that this particular thing didn't have, but that other particular thing will have. And so we change from, like one bitter thing to another equally, if not bitter, more bitter thing. So we do not get what we seek because we do not go deep enough to find the source of that which we are looking at. There are, sometimes the God is spoken of specially as described in the Western theology as somebody who is a very overbearing, overpowering, very stern figure and is ready to punish you. So you have to, the God is presented as if you have to tremble before that God. So that is not exactly how the sages have felt, whether in the Western world or in the Eastern world, whether they are Christians or Muslims or Hindus. You will see that the saints always found the immense sweetness, immense happiness in God and God alone. And just as when you actually find it, you do not want to get away from it. So, similarly, by finding that sweetness that was being searched for, the happiness that was being searched for, now the saints get established there, do not want to move. Like Brother Lawrence, in that very celebrated work, Practice of Presence of God, mentions, I am quoting from his fifth letter in that book, and then I will also quote from the seventh letter, that in the fifth letter he says that there is no other thing in this whole world which can bring more happiness, more sweetness than being in the presence of God. This practice of presence of God brings the maximum happiness in life. And he then, in this seventh letter, he says that even if there are lots of miseries and painful situations in this world, when you are in the presence of God, they become, they get converted into happiness. They do not feel as pain anymore because you are now in the presence of the source of happiness. On the contrary, even if you are surrounded by all that is thought to be very pleasant in the world, but if you are away from God, all of that would turn into a very painful, frustrating experience. And that is why there has to be this proper search for the source of this happiness, or what has been sung as Madhu. Madhu, the word Madhu indicates the sweetness. It actually gets, therefore, by implication, gets translated as honey, and also translated as the immense happiness, the source of happiness. So, in this beautiful song that was sung, God is described as just happiness solidified. If you have a candy, solidified sugar, now whether you make it into, say, an image of a person, person's image made of sugar, just let us portray it in front of our eyes of the mind. Now whether you lick the feet of that image, it will taste sweet. If you lick the nose, that will still taste sweet. Whatever part of that image you lick, it will taste sweet because it is made of that. So it says Madhuradhipater Akhilam Madhuram, that here is the Lord who is the Lord of all sweetness. Everything about that. So it is described that Vadanam Madhuram, that the face is sweet. So many aspects, of that. The vasanam, the clothes that the God has put, because it is the statue made of happiness. And thus, in whatever way we taste it, it has to taste sweet, because that is its essence. In Upanishads, there is this search for the source. Upanishads are deeply philosophical, and so there is this search for the source of all happiness in this world. Let us go to find it. And so, in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in the second chapter, in the 5th canto, there is this discussion of what is the source of, we see the pleasures here and there. You feel that this person is so nice, in the presence of this person, it is full of all happiness and sweetness. But then sometimes that turns sour. Soon it becomes very unattractive. And this is a common experience. But we, being, not so intelligent as we think, to put it mildly, I mean, it is, we keep on, shifting from, say, person A to person B to person C, and then sooner or later, inevitably, meet the same experience because we have not dwelt deep into the nature of this happiness. We just look at the cover, get drawn, attracted. Imagine, see, suppose I have a cup of ice cream. Mm. Say Ben and Jerry, or Jen and Berry, Ben and Jerry. Okay, okay, yeah. Sometimes it is a bit, yeah. So you have one cup, and then uh, vanilla. So you lick only the outside of the cup. Will it taste nice? You will try, no, this is no good. Let me try chocolate ice cream. Again, you take the chocolate ice cream cup and start licking from outside. You will meet the same terrible, unsavory experience. But if you open, then the things will change. So exactly we should use our analytical capabilities in search of this happiness, and then we will see, as that particular chapter in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, through analysis and generalization. These are the two methods of knowledge that we use. We see that first, well, you see, the source of our happiness is earth, and the source of happiness in earth is the cause of the earth. And like that, going deep, it was discovered that our self or God alone is the source of happiness. It is very clearly and beautifully explained there that thus all creatures, they live looking for that. When they find therefore God or the self, they become what is called in Upanishads completely fulfilled, completely contented, nitya tripta, that completely contented. There is nothing left to any more to run after. They do not therefore go away from that, because they have found the source of this happiness. That these are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, that like gopis. Gopis are not actually women as such, or females. Gopis, they are described as the devotees who are in sincere search of the source of happiness. So, and therefore when they get an inkling of it, they leave everything else and go right there. That chapters on Rasa Leela. Rasa word comes from rasa. Rasa means the source of joy. That is, in the word for that in Sanskrit is rasa. The substance, the essence of everything is called rasa. So Upanishad describes God, raso vaisaha. The God is the essence and the most happy thing that is in this world. God is congealed happiness. So the gopis are like all of us, looking for it, but with such intensity that they are aware immediately when there is this source of happiness there. Otherwise, they are not going to run after it. When they get like an ant gets the message that there is sugar there, the smell of sugar, then the ant would move there. Whatever obstacles are in the way, the ant will negotiate and get there to the sugar block. So we used to have this problem here, that a sugar bottle, then the ants would come all around it. Even if you put that in a bowl, fill it with water and keep it there, the ants would go climb into that, take the risk of getting drowned, and yet would go and find that sugar. So finally we have put it in a completely airtight thing, so that nothing escapes, no fragrance escapes from that, and that has stopped it. So keep a bottle of honey, and then the ants would come all around it. Because when they get the scent of it, then they are going to go there. So these gopis are those who, when get the message that here is the source of happiness, now nothing can stop them from going there. And that saint came to them when Krishna started playing flute. Now this is a message that here is the source. And when they heard that message, those who were not gopis, means those who were not devotees, they didn't get any effect of it. Somebody is just playing flute, that's all. They neglected, they were not much into that. So, but those gopis, they dropped everything that they were doing. A devotee, when learns that there is the God, the source of all that I am seeking, now everything else becomes meaningless in life. Automatically it becomes meaningless in life, because this is the real thing that I have been looking for. And then all other things, they look like just dream or completely meaningless. It is. So when it is described there, many feel that, oh, these must be terrible women, these gopis. How could they give up everything? The description sounds rather cruel, but it is deliberate. That either stupid or cruel, insensitive to all these other things. Yes, that is what happens when you get the saint of God. That which is most meaningful, everything else just falls off. Some of them were cooking. They left the pots like on the fire. Never even waited, oh, let me take that from the, otherwise it will get all burnt. Never thought of that. They just let it be. They just ran. They could not think of anything else. It is somewhere serving food. They just dropped the pots and ran. Imagine what all those members, other members in the house, what would they think? Picture the scene before your eyes and you will see. They would think, what, they have suddenly become crazy. Some had kept milk on boil. Now they didn't take it off the stove. Whatever happened to milk, we don't care. Ran away. Further, some were nursing the babies, breastfeeding the babies. They dropped those babies and ran. Cruel, isn't it? Yeah. From our ordinary standpoint, it will certainly appear to be very cruel of those gopis to do something like that. But now all this has become meaningless. Uh, they, the real purpose of life was calling them, and that call was irresistible. That is what happens in the life of a devotee. A very intense pull is felt for that tremendous happiness that is calling them. Nothing else is having any meaning left in life. So they just ran there for savoring the God. And God is this, all that we care in life. It is actually, we call ourselves devotees, and we are to some extent. But for God, one has to give up everything else, looking for anything else in life, because it is all meaningless. It is like licking the pots and not getting anything that is worthy of substance. So all that the gopis left there. Some were such, that they were confined by other people there. They were locked. Now what happened? They could not physically go, but their minds went there. They felt dead, because without the mind, if body cannot be, the life was taken away. The life went to Krishna. The empty case just remained called body. It just remained there. So, why? Because the source of happiness is calling. Now we cannot stop that. So it is called like that. So you read in Sri Ramakrishna's life, he says God is the source of all sweetness. That is what is important to know. Not the God who punishes, God, if you do not do, you are a sinner. That really has that doctrine of original sin carried to the extreme like that, to go on saying we are all sinners, and so we should be terrified before that God. Now that naturally removes this bliss aspect of God. God is this source of bliss, and therefore the scriptures on devotion, like Narada Bhakti Sutra, Narada's aphorisms on devotion, it emphasizes that that search of God starts, progresses, and ends in love alone. And that the source of the love that we are looking for, that is God. And it goes on intensifying. Pratikshana pravardhamana, that is how the aphorisms describe it. It doesn't move from this object to that object. It doesn't do the foolishness of licking this ice cream box and that ice cream box. No, it goes deep, finds out that the source. So therefore it grows in intensity. That is how you feel that this God in everything, and so you remove that everything aspect, like ice cream in 100 pots. So even our Mayuk knows here that the ice cream, you cannot get ice cream by just licking at that box. You have to open the box, then you will find it. So they do not do that kind of foolishness. They go to this substance and thus gets more and more intense joy. So the God is described that why should we think of God? This question gets raised, especially in the society being consumed by consumerism. That, well, we have to always go for certain new things. New models of phones are there. This old model is no good. Let me get a new one. Then this, all new things. And we keep on running after them. So they question why. What is there in search for God? The answer is you will get actually what you are seeking by doing that search. It is the search to find this substance. You find that same idea in Bible, that the God is actually that all that we desire. The book of John mentions that it is the substance in everything. So therefore we should go for it. This substance in all is God. So it is God is that is the source of love and attraction. That is the meaning of this word Krishna also. Krishna, etymologically it means that which attracts. Karshayati iti Krishna. That is how the Sanskrit declination of that word would be. That which attracts us, that is Krishna. In the world we find so many different types of attractions. What really attracts us? And that principle is given a personification in Krishna. And thus all these different types of personal qualities have been added to it. It is to make it actually real and searchable for us. Impersonal is very difficult for us to search because we are by our constitution limited by personality. Immediately we get a shape in our mind's eye that, oh, how is that source of all attraction? And then we get attracted to various persons here. So now that attraction needs to be turned to the source. And so the best and psychologically most efficacious way is to give that principle also a personality. That is the technique that is used in, rigorous sciences like mathematics. You give some symbol to what you are looking for. You say, for example, are asked a very simple primary school or middle school question that suppose somebody has these many mangoes, then some 5 have been given to this person, 4 were rotten, 3 were had some others as disuse, and so many remained. Then how many mangoes this person really had? So now you assume in that method that the number of mangoes were X. Now what is this? X are not mangoes actually, but why do we do that? So that the problem gets a form for us. And then we calculate the value of X. That is the mangoes. That is why the algebraic methods, they become psychologically more useful. That problem, most of them can in principle be solved by arithmetics. But then it is more cumbersome. So you apply this algebraic method. the unknown. Let us give it, they become then quasi-known. That X, as if it is there. And so that abstract becomes concrete. So that is how this abstract principle, that the source of all happiness, now let us give it a concrete form. So, and then a name, give a form and a name comes to it. So, it is like in animal crackers, I like that example, that it is a form, and that you see what that form is, has a tail, has a head, has these legs, and then we compare, looks like dog, so it is dog. That form gets called as dog. Generalization of similar things then happens, and then that form and the name go together then. So this is how the process goes for having the names for God. It is described in scriptures. That which is beyond all names is called on by devotees by this name Krishna, to symbolically see that that is the source that attracts us. Or the name Hari, and we have, that question comes, why the Hindu gods, they have all these different names? Because they signify a particular aspect of that divine, like Krishna, the one who attracts. Vishnu means that which is the substance of the whole universe, that which is pervaded in the whole universe, that is Vishnu. What is Narayana? Narayana is the goal of life. Narena ayanam iti Narayana. So that which is being, sought after by human beings as the goal of life, that is the word Narayana. So, and then all are actually one thing. So therefore, there are these so many names of God. How many names? As many as you want. There are 1,000 names. There is a beautiful text, Vishnu Sahasranama, very popular text. Many recite it every day. 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. All have this special aspect of God that is depicted in that name. So it has that question. Actually, it started with in Mahabharata, the king Yudhishthira asked the question to Bhishma, that what are the different names of God. Bhishma, a man of great knowledge, at that time he was lying, waiting for the auspicious time to give up the body. And lying on what? What a nice bed. Yeah, correct. The arrows, sharp arrows. On the bed of that sharp arrows, would you like to sleep on that? Nobody. So, yeah, on that arrows he was lying down and was thinking of God. So, that what Brother Lawrence mentioned, that if you are near God, if you are feeling the presence of God, then the intense pain also does not remain as pain. Otherwise, the world is full of suffering. Because we are not looking at God, are not in the presence of God. So this Bhishma was asked this question. And Bhishma said, well, everything is actually the name of God. There are infinite names. Every name is really the name of God. So it is not the name of any person as such. It is secondarily the name of the person. But what is that person really? God. So all names really belong to God, but I will tell you a few which are very commonly used, very prominently used. Yani namani gaunani vikhyatani. And those who are very, very popular, very commonly used, I am telling you a few of them. So, few means 1,000 he told there. So, all of them have this connection that it expresses this aspect that God is there and it brings us the happiness. In anything else, we will be just deprived of happiness because we are going away from the source. So, this is how the search, when taken in the proper way, then leads us to God. That becomes the joy. We don't want to move from away from that, and we have that savoring, and we start being with God, become full of happiness, holding on to that. That is how the life of the devotees becomes, you know. There is a beautiful incident in the life of a Sufi saint, Rabia, a very saintly lady. And she was not well. This particular incident you can read in Swami Vivekananda's that inspired talks, that she is lying on the sick bed. Apparently from outside she was in lot of pain. So two of her companions, they were also devotees. They went to see her on her sick bed. And in the words of consolation, one of them said that by remembering God, then all these sufferings, they will become, then they will not be felt at all. You will not feel the suffering when you think of God. The other said a little more higher thing, that it is, well, those sufferings will become like joy. Rabia in reply said, well, where is the suffering? She was not having any suffering at all, being immersed in God. So, she said that those who are connected to God, there is the word suffering loses the meaning. It is all like that song, everything. Madhura adhipater akhilam madhuram. Everything is full of that tremendous sweetness. So, Sri Ramakrishna would therefore say, somebody asked him, he was always immersed in that feel of God, and would appear as if intoxicated. So, as one devotee came and then is he drunk? No, Sri Ramakrishna himself replies, I am drunk of a different wine. And if you take that wine, then you will not need any other thing to get intoxicated. That intoxication just goes on increasing because that is the source of joy, and thus you will not come to get out of it. You don't need to get out of it. So your life becomes that fulfillment. The pains that Sri Ramakrishna was suffering in his illness and the cancer, and many other sicknesses or injuries that he had. There is a beautiful incident when Sri Ramakrishna fell on a railing and broke his hand. There was a plaster that had to be put, and he was showing to everybody, look, it is so painful. What should I do? And some doctors would give this, oh, but he has put such a bandage here and it is so painful. What can be done? And then one devotee said, you are not in pain. You are just feigning to be in pain. You are not in pain at all. And Sri Ramakrishna laughingly said, this fellow caught me. Because there is really no pain there. The connection is always with the inner bliss. So, you are in bliss. So, he was always in bliss. It was, for others, it was, even to look at that was terrible, that his throat had all these supporting ulcers. And he was not able to utter a word loud enough. Eating was impossible. No solid food would go down the throat. That was the condition. And those were not the days with that morphine pump, and so there is no such pain reducing things. So, and he was still distributing happiness to everybody. People would come, even the doctor who was treating him, that is a wonderful thing. That doctor, like a man in the world, had so many problems. But he would come and spend so much time with Sri Ramakrishna and conversing on various spiritual matters. He had told Sri Ramakrishna, no, don't talk. Don't talk, because that will aggravate the sufferings. But with me you can talk. So he would keep on having conversations with Sri Ramakrishna. And then he says, that doctor says, why do I come here? Every day I am losing lot of money. Because I cannot now see patients. This patient consumes all my time. So I am losing so much of my practice. But still, why do I come here? The source is here. That sweetness is here. And apparently that source of sweetness, he is full of all these injuries, lying on the bed, having not gotten anything to eat for a long time. His body had become a skeleton. If you see that photograph of his body when he passed away, then his picture was taken with all the devotees. That picture many devotees don't like, and so therefore from recent publications it has been removed. But I like that picture because that picture tells that how even in this condition of body, he did not have any pain as such. That the complete, total transcendence of physical personality. I gave that example many times. And now I am wearing this shirt. And if you give me a blow, don't give, but suppose if you come and give a blow on this shirt, then I'll scream in pain. But if I take it out, put it on a hanger, now you keep on hitting it as much as you want to hit. You may take a knife and cut it. Nothing will happen to me. Exactly like that. Sri Ramakrishna is disidentified with body, and that he is separated from it. He is using the body, but he is not the body. Being the user of the body, very good, you use it. But don't get identified with it. So he was in bliss, getting identified with body, whether healthy or sick. It is a abode of sickness. There is no respite from it. But as you see that you are not body, there is no possibility of being in misery. It is in another Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, this very beautiful passage comes that I don't want to go into this story. I am going just to the last concluding statements there, that it is told to that Indra, who successfully with lot of patience completed 101 years of practice. How much? 101 years. Now people become so impatient. Do 5 minutes of practice, they start looking at the clock even after 20 seconds, you see. So it is, but 101 years were spent. His understanding had become pure. And then the advice was given. Till then, the teacher, who was Prajapati, he was called Prajapati there in the Upanishad, he did not venture to give advice at all. Because what is the use of advice? As Jesus says, do not throw the seeds on the rock. They won't sprout, It is, so what is the use of the advice unless the person is ready to purify and receive? So then he says, Bhagavan, martyam va idam shariram. Oh, Bhagavan means his name. Indra, remember, this body is the source of death. It is subject to death. Attam mrityuna, the death is going to eat it. And then he proceeds further that if you are identified with body, then na priya priyayoho apahati asti. There is no respite from attractions and repulsions. But if you realize you are not body, then asharire vavasantam na priya priye sprushatah. If you realize this truth that you are not body, body is kept on the hanger. Now do whatever with it. It does not touch with you. It does not touch you at all. So it is like that. There is no pleasure or pain in that sense, because you are steeped in the source of this bliss. So friends, let us remember this great idea, savoring God. Let us think of God as the source of all sweetness, happiness, and besides that, there is no happiness to be found in the world, whatever else we do. We can have addictions without happiness. Like people have addictions. Okay, let me go to see Brazil, and then, okay, then again I start feeling bored, and let me go to see the Newfoundland. So the fellow keeps on looking for Newfoundlands, but never finds the source of happiness. So it is, if you want, go deep. Open the ice cream box, and then you will see everything is full of happiness. And so about Sri Ramakrishna it was said that nobody has seen him devoid of happiness even for a minute. That beautiful incident given by his disciple who served him for quite a few years. His name was Swami Adbhutananda, the illiterate disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. All other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna were so highly learned, but this was completely unlettered. But he was has such philosophical wisdom that it is Swami Vivekananda used to therefore call him Plato. Instead, his name was colloquially pronounced as Leto. But then Vivekananda would add that one P to it, and he is Plato. So he was asked, such a holy man like Sri Ramakrishna, he didn't hurt a fly. Why such a person had to suffer so much? Such a man devoted to God, why did he have to suffer? A very common question. This Swami said, firstly, let me tell you, I have never seen him even for a moment devoid of bliss. Then he says, well, these diseases and all, they come to the body for various reasons. But that is, he was never even for a moment devoid of that eternal bliss. So, if we want to have that, let us have that God, worship that God, come closer and closer to that God, which is the source of sweetness, the source of all joy, and let us savor it. Thank you, friends. Oh, questions. Oh, I thought that it is... okay, anyway. Any questions? No questions, you say. So, even our Abhishek doesn't have a question today. Any questions upstairs? See, no question there either. It is such a simple thing, what is to question there, So, it is next Sunday, that is April 23rd, there is the lecture by Chester Bonsek. The topic that he has chosen, very nice sounding topic, 4 gatekeepers of moksha. Moksha means liberation. The 4 gatekeepers, he is describing about the 4 aspects of yoga. So, 4 gatekeepers of moksha. The Tuesday, Friday classes will go on as usual. And then there is a retreat coming up on May 13th. It will be given by a very learned Swami. He is, although not exactly from our order, he is known as a wonderful teacher. Many of you might have heard him, his presentation on YouTube. After these things, online things have become available. Many have heard him. His name is Swami Anubhavananda, and very senior monk. He will be here for about 4 days. And one day of that is Saturday, May 13th, there will be a day-long retreat. So, to attend that, one has to register though. The other programs during his visit, one can attend without registration. The programs are put out in a poster outside. So, the that is an important announcement. So we shall now conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Now there will be Arati. After that, you are all invited to join the soup supper.
Lust and lucre, therefore Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Langa ranga bhanga, these are all the sounds of Vedanta. Langa ranga bhanga, these are all the sounds of Vedanta. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Jaya Jaya for your worship divine. Haru Haru for your worship divine. Shiva Shiva for your worship divine. Breaker of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Auspicious and blessed, graciousness sublime, all noble ends you gave to us, granting us refuge, all-seeing Gauri, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Creation, preservation, dissolution are your powers, eternal one. Nature's real basis, nature's essence, O Mother Divine, our love to you. we come seeking refuge from anguish. Be our Savior through your deep concern. All our suffering remove, Goddess. O Mother Divine, our love to you. Victory, O Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Blessed Mother Divine, our love to you. Jai Shri Ram Krishna Dev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Sarda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Shri Swami Vivekananda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Buddhadev Ki Jai. Jai Shri Jesus Christ